Welcome to the Fast Track Cities Getting to Zero podcast. This month, we're discussing dating and sexual health between the generations. In 2023, there were around 402,000 new STI diagnoses in England, with over 2.4 million sexual health screens. Most new infections occur among 18 to 24-year-olds, but rates in over 65s have also risen by around 20% since 2017. In the UK today, only about half of women of reproductive age are on prescribed contraception. Men in the UK tend to test far less. Fewer than 1 in 5 sexually active men report STI screenings in the past year. And with STI diagnosis climbing, the unseen risk of never having been tested remains real for many. Joining us today are Rebecca Mbewe, HIV ambassador and activist, and her son, Chiesa Musonda. Explore conversations around sexual health and dating between the generations.
Out of the two of us, and I feel like I already know your answer, but out of the two of us, who would you say takes longer to prepare for a date?
Definitely you.
Why would you say that?
Because, first of all, your shower will probably take like 2 hours while you're blaring music. Mm-hmm. Your outfit, you probably will order it specifically for the days, and that takes, if we're taking that into account, you'll order it and it has to fit, and I get it because I'm exactly the same. It just has to be right. But even on the day,
I'm not that bad.
No, you're not that bad, but who takes 2 hours in the shower?
I have to have a process.
Exactly.
Go prepare.
It still means you take longer than I do.
You don't take 15 minutes either, you know.
I do.
No, I've been in the bathroom when I want to use the bathroom. You're still doing your makeup, you know.
Yeah, but then that's the actual shower is like 10 minutes, and then the makeup's like half an hour. You definitely win.
It depends what kind of date it is. That's the thing. If it's a first date, obviously I would take like way more time to prepare and put in like effort.
Oh, see now that's where one of my tips. I just present the way I present.
No, it's still I'm presenting as me, but I'm presenting as the best me.
Yeah, I present as the best me whether I'm going to work or wherever.
Fair enough. You do put in a lot of
so
effort.
So the last date I went on was I had 3 other things before I turned up for the day. I actually turned up quite inebriated. I think we'd had quite a few glasses of Prosecco, so when I turned up, I was very sparkly-eyed.
Merry. Oh, gosh.
No, it turned out in my favour. I was dressed very, I would say, casual, formal.
Right.
But yeah.
So why would you plan a date when you had 3 other things to do that day?
Those just fit in before the date.
Oh, gosh.
It worked out well, actually, so that was good.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will take defeat on that one. I definitely take longer.
You definitely take longer.
In your opinion, who do you think has it easier in terms of dating? Would you say your generation or my generation?
I don't know. I think it depends. Most of my generation are already in relationships anyway.
Fair enough.
But I think the younger generation have it much easier.
Interesting. Why so?
If you think about where we're at in our sort of in our stages of life, a lot of us have already been in relationships. We have children, and you know this will probably be the second time, or third, or fourth time trying to get into a relationship. So navigating all of that's slightly harder. You have to talk about the baggage that you bring.
You've accumulated.
Yeah. Not a lot of us are used to this online dating kind of thing because we never used to have it when we were younger. So
yeah, I feel like I could partially agree. I feel like there's pros and cons to both of our generations.
Right.
For example, I feel like, as you've mentioned, like accessibility to dating is probably easier for my generation because we have like all the technology and the dating apps, etc. And yes, maybe because of age, there's less baggage that we've managed to collect along the way. But I feel like in terms of general mindset, I don't know, I feel like sometimes your generation might have been slightly better in some ways in terms of just dating and being serious about dating. But yeah, I definitely think there's pros and cons to both. But it sucks across the board.
It does suck.
How was it dating back then? Like, how was it possible for you to meet people back then? Because obviously now we have, for example, dating apps, but those didn't exist all those years ago.
No, they didn't. I think a lot of the time it was through sort of friends of friends.
Right.
So if you have one person that's got a boyfriend, for example, and then you all go, we didn't always go on dates on your own. So then you'd tag along, you'd be like the third arm, and then he'd have a friend, and sometimes that's the way it happened.
Yeah.
But we also had a lot of teenage discos. We used to call it teen time.
Oh gosh.
What do you mean, oh gosh?
It was like clubbing for kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
You go like 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock, and then if you're there, if somebody likes you, they approach you. Pretty much most of the time. Or there were lots of family gatherings, so you'd go to weddings and communions and a whole range of stuff, and that's where you'd meet people.
Right.
And a lot of it was through introduction, say, oh, my friend likes you, and that kind of thing.
I feel like that's a much better way of meeting people, because like obviously being on dating apps, I think you have so much accessibility to so many people who may not even be close by, that there's not much intention on there sometimes. If you do ever get into a serious relationship, it's much better to be like, oh, we met here, than I matched with him on Hinge. Like, it's just a bit cringe to say, but...
In a sense, yes. But then you can imagine how crushing it was, particularly for a guy. I mean, he approaches you and you think, I don't want him, I don't like him, so no, that's not happening.
It's the game. It's the game.
No, that's pretty much how it happened.
Yeah.
You meet through friends, you meet through, socialising. Teen time was a real hotspot.
They need to bring that back.
They've got it for older generations now, actually.
That's just called clubbing, Mum.
No. There's a time frame. There's a time frame. Teen time, because it was for teenagers during the time. Now they've got one for queenagers.
Queen time.
Yeah, queen time. So you go from like 2 o'clock and it finishes at 8 o'clock at night, so then you can go home
and sleep. Sounds nifty, yeah.
Yeah, so it works. The thing is, there's only all women there, mostly.
Is it a gay event? Is that why it's called Queen Time?
No.
So why is it only women?
Because men don't come.
Oh, they don't show up?
No.
That's unfortunate.
Men...
I don't mean to laugh. Oh, well.
Yeah. That's the issue, is finding a space where you can have a balance of men and women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would you say they don't turn up there?
Unless men are intentionally looking and they know that, I'm going to go there and possibly meet someone. It's very rare. And women are more open to socialising, I guess. You go with your girlfriends and they, the others come with their girlfriends. So it just sort of naturally happens.
That's quite interesting. I thought men would be more interested in going to things like that for the sole purpose of trying to pick up someone.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to the wrong ones.
Maybe.
I went for a dating dinner with 40 strangers.
Oh.
Yeah, that was quite nice. Very well organised, games and everything else. All of us were women.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know.
It sounds like an ITV program.
It was very nice, though. Now I've told you how we used to do it in our... I wasn't going to say my age.
Back in our day.
Yes, back in our day.
Right.
How does it happen now? Is it just dating apps or what?
As far as I know, I don't think I'm the most adept dater, so maybe there's other avenues that I'm not aware of, but everything in the modern day is quite digitalized, so I'm only aware of like dating through apps and like meeting people online, which, like I mentioned, has its benefits, but also there's a lot of negative sides to that. I don't think it's as natural, and so sometimes it's just strange to have to meet people in that way. Plus you meet so many people, or you can meet so many people, or should I say match with so many people, that I don't think it's humanly possible to give everyone a genuine chance. So it's not always the best, but that's how we do it now. It's how it's done.
Are there some that are more popular in terms of dating sites than others, or?
Tinder's always going to be the most notorious one. I don't particularly use Tinder. I haven't used Tinder in quite a few years because I personally don't think it's the
Ah,
best.
so it's one of the ones you've used, eh?
I have browsed before.
And?
I would personally say Hinge was the best, just because I feel like the mindset of people who go on Hinge, at least when it first started out, was a bit more dating aligned, whereas Tinder seemed to be very much hookup sort of culture. Which, if that's what you're looking for, there's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of dating, it wasn't the best, in my opinion. There's a few other ones, but I don't know if they're safe to say on camera.
Why not?
Because they're also not known for dating.
They're like, for what?
They're like hookup apps.
Go on, tell then.
Well, obviously you have like Grindr for gay people.
Yeah, we all know Grindr.
Well, yeah, that's the one I was mainly alluding to. But
Are you on that one?
I have been on Grindr before. Look at her, she's so excited. I have been on Grindr before, but like I said, it's not really my forte. It's not really
Fair
aimed
enough.
for dating. So,
Right.
yeah, I don't use it much.
And which one would you say each person will have a different reason for being on a different app?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it depends on like what you were personally looking for. Some people do prefer, like I have lots of friends who still use Grindr or Tinder, but yeah, it's just, I guess, an individual sort of thing.
Okay. Are there some that you feel that would be more for my generation? I won't use Grindr for obvious reasons, but then I'm not. I don't think I'd like to be on Tinder if I'm going on because that's not my scene. So
Yeah.
then, would Hinge then work for someone in my age group, for example?
I think so. I mean, it definitely started off as a more dating-focused app. Again, it's just an individual thing because some people of your generation might just want to have a hookup as well. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
What did you guys use? You guys use like eHarmony,
That sounds
Match.com.
so.
You guys use stuff that you have to like communicate via email.
No, not via email. You communicate on the app.
Yeah, but I don't
Just
know.
the same way that you do on Hinge, I'm assuming.
Because I thought
'Cause I don't-
eHarmony and like Match.com, they were more like webs. Like
No,
web
you sign up
subscriptions.
with and yeah, some of them will have a subscription, but to communicate initially, you do it on the actual app until you're comfortable enough to swap numbers, you see.
And carrier pigeon. I don't know. I'm joking. No, yeah, that's interesting. So you've never been on Hinge before?
No,
You've never used Hinge, Mum?
no.
Wow.
Everyone recommends it, but I don't know. For me, it gives me Tinder vibes.
Okay, fair enough.
So I won't go on that, but I've been on Match.com.
Okay.
I think a very long time there used to be something called the plentyoffish.com.
Oh gosh. I don't think I've heard that app in like a millennia. Oh gosh, yeah, I
And
did
that
briefly.
seems to have swallowed, gone. But more recently, I've been on Facebook dating app. That one seems, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how have you been finding, well, you said Match.com as well. Have you found those?
Match.com, I found it okay, but then it was, subscription. And obviously you have to spend a lot of time on there and the subscription just rolls. And after a while you think,
There's no
I'm not,
point.
yeah, there's no point. But then I went on Facebook dating, which seems to work quite well because it's a free app. And yeah, and as you say, us old fogies are on Facebook.
I didn't even know there was a Facebook dating app. There's a
I
whole
didn't
other world
either.
out there. Wow.
I didn't either until my friend told me. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah. The dates I've been on, all the people I've met have been very intentional. But also it's very good at putting together the same kind of age groups and the interests that you have.
Yeah.
To be fair, I had to go back and change my profile because I got lots of hits from very young boys,
Oh,
which I thought they're all Chisenga's age, so I'm not going
It's
to.
a bit too much,
yeah.
too far.
So
Yeah.
I changed it, but then then you get interest from people that are slightly more your age,
Yeah.
and you can do the same thing. You chat online first, and then you hop off, and then swap numbers.
I mean, if you think about it, it's no much different than real life. You could have someone who's not of interest to you still come up to you in real life.
Yeah,
So
fair
I
enough.
guess it's just the digital version of it.
Yeah. When you then swap numbers, for example, is there like steps that you go through before you actually meet?
Well, I'm pretty slow at giving out my number just because I feel like you have the app to begin with, so you can communicate there for at least a decent amount of time before you have to divulge any personal information. But in terms of steps, I feel like I prefer to meet up as quick as possible, just because I'm a very energy-based kind of guy. So I just feel like we could do all this talking online for months and months and months, but I'm not really going to know if we have any sort of connection until we meet in person. So I try and hurry that process along as much as possible.
Doesn't it come across desperate? Not that I'm, because I'm exactly like you. I don't like the endless chatting.
Yeah.
It's nonsensical. It's just a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Something slightly more intentional. So, yeah. But then how do you manage that without coming across desperate, I guess, for lack of a better word?
I think there's a difference between begging and demanding. So it's...
Okay.
What I mean by that is I could beg you, okay, when are you next free? Please, let's meet up. Oh my gosh, I'm free these dates. What are you doing this? Or demanding would be more so like sitting across a boundary. Like, I enjoy talking to you. I don't prefer endless chatter. So at some point, I would like for us to set a date to meet up in person.
Oh, okay.
I feel like that comes across less please and more so this is how it is.
Okay. Interesting.
Tricks.
Yeah.
At what stage when you're getting to know someone would you feel comfortable enough to bring up the whole sexual health conversation?
As someone who works in the sexual health industry, sexual health sector, and more specifically around HIV, it's very personal to me, and it's something that I know is a conversation I'm going to have.
Right.
And I'll put a caveat, not have to have, but for me, I just feel it's a conversation that once it's out there, partly going back to what I was saying, are you in or are you out?
Yeah.
With everything laid out on the table. And for some sort of encounters, it's much easier, and then for some, not so easy. This is where you're able to discern whether someone's smart or, pick up on the little sort of nuances. So you get two kinds of people. There are those, like you're saying, are there for hookups or whatever else, and are very sort of sending messages with these sexual innuendos kind of thing. For me, first of all, that's off-putting.
Right.
I'm not interested in that. But then when you do get to the conversation, some people, you very quickly, what do you do for work? For me, that's my sort of foot in the door.
Yeah.
I work in the sexual health industry.
Ah.
And then a lot of them will, well, like I said, the ones that will say, oh, what does that mean? And then
You can kind of go from there.
yeah, and then I have the conversation. The last one surprised me quite a lot, actually.
Why? What happened?
Off the bat, person reads my profile. Person says, yes, I fit the bill. Here's my number. Call me.
Ooh.
And I thought, okay.
Direct.
Very direct. So, and I use that as a platform for a bit of banter because the age was wrong. It was like 119, 116. And I said, at 116, I'm not sure you quite fit the bill. So obviously there was conversation from there. And then first phone call, which was literally a couple of days after. And that's me breaking all the process rules, if
That
you
you
like.
usually go through.
But yeah, very quickly there was the conversation about writing a book and then or writing a story. And I said, oh, we've done that with some friends of mine. And this person was really interested. And he said, oh, send me the link. But because it's a story about HIV and it's got my story in there, I thought, oh, actually, that's a good. And before you know it, the next day, sent me a picture and said, look, I bought the book. And I thought, okay.
Whoa, okay.
And that was that.
Okay.
So that was really easy to do in terms of the conversation around sexual health.
Yeah.
And like I said, in some of them, it's just they drag it on and on. So it depends. It varies.
Yeah.
It varies. Long-winded answer, but it varies.
No, I appreciate the journey you took me on. Interesting.
What about you guys? When I say you guys, the younger generation.
I don't know. I feel like in comparison to maybe your generation, I feel like conversations surrounding sexual health are probably more open. But in terms of like bringing it up in a dating space, in my personal experience, it's not always one of the first few things that comes up. It probably should be brought up a bit sooner than it typically is. To be honest with you, I've only ever been in one relationship, and I remember we broached the subject probably like a good few months in, so it's a bit late. But like I said, I feel like our generation might be a bit apprehensive at times to bring it up purely in a dating aspect, just because of, I guess, the stigmas that might be attached to it, the thought of, I don't know, someone might react badly to it. But that's my personal experience. I don't know if it's the same for everyone else, but
Okay,
yeah.
so if we look at it this way, the conversation about sex, though, comes up way before, I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah.
And then sexual health.
Kind of takes a backseat. I definitely feel that way. I feel like, yeah, it could definitely be brought up a lot sooner in
How
terms
would
of
you
those
bring
steps.
it up, though, if it did come up?
I think because I'm just quite direct as an individual anyway. I'd just be pretty
Right.
honest about
Have
it.
you been tested? How would you ask?
Yeah, I mean, how else do you ask the question? Like, I feel like that's the only way you can really ask. I don't know. How would you bring it up?
I'm also very direct. And no, actually, sometimes what happens is they ask. They said, "Oh, so would that mean I'd have to go for the whole sexual health thing?" And I said, "Yes,
Yeah.
you would have to."
Right.
Oh, okay. And then I switch it and I say, not so much for me, because I know exactly what my position is. I switch it and make it like I'm speaking from what I like to call a position of power.
Right.
Yeah. I know exactly what my status or my situation is, from my kidneys to my liver to literally everything. I don't know about yours, so you've got to check yours, Miss.
We gotta figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time they think, actually, and sometimes I do ask, when was your last one? And they go, I don't know, I've never had one.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But I will ask. I don't know about you. I'm very sure about me.
Yeah.
It's very empowering.
I'd
actually.
imagine so. I mean, yeah, I'm very direct. I feel like it's not a question you can exactly skirt around, but I find it interesting that you mentioned that you get asked a lot, because I've never had someone bring it up to me first. I would always have to initiate that conversation.
But remember, mine's always coming from a platform. So like I said, I stick it in there and say, I work in the sexual health industry.
Right.
And that's part of my work. And then I say, oh, so what about? And then I'll talk about HIV. And they'll go, oh, so does that mean I'd have to go for a test? That's how the question
That's kind
comes
of
in.
the jump off
Yeah.
point.
And then I say, yes, you will.
I feel like maybe also just age-wise, I feel like there's probably a bit of an unseriousness to my generation because we're younger, but I'm hoping as you get older, that kind of dissipates.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think generally, just even with all sorts of life stuff, you get to a point where you're much more confident about what the kinds of questions that you ask. Our age is slightly more sure about what I want, what I don't, about boundaries. Even just general things like, how many kids you got? And he goes, no, I got 6 children by all the same mum. And he goes, no, 3 different baby mamas. I'm not getting involved with that.
Right.
But you'll ask because you know exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But as you grow older, it gets easier. You learn to prepare yourself for all sorts of answers.
Yeah, that's hopeful for me to hear. Hopefully it gets better from here on out. But
In the times that you have asked, how was that received?
I think there's always a bit of a jump back
Yeah.
a little bit. I've never had like a negative reaction. I've never had like someone be upset by the question. I do have friends who have had people be upset at them bringing that up before. But from my experience, I've never had that. But yeah, there's always that kind of moment when you do bring it up.
Do you think, given the conversations we've had around sex and sexual health and how I brought it up whilst you guys have been growing up, has that made it easier?
I think that's probably why I can be so direct sometimes, but I think the reason when I do bring it up to some people who haven't had the relationship that we've had as parent-child and discussed things as candidly as we have, to them it's just a bit like, whoa, they're a bit taken aback, but I definitely think it's benefited me, yes, to answer your question.
And then the other thing that you said is that some of your friends people have gotten angry.
Yeah.
Why though?
For some people, it could be a level of defensiveness. It could come across a bit for those who are a bit ignorant, should I say, it could come across a bit accusatory, like, what are you asking me? Again, some other people, maybe they do actually have something to hide and they don't want to discuss it. But yeah, I think it's more so from a place of like defensiveness. That's why people would lash out.
For your friends that have asked, for example, how do they then deal with that kind of thing?
Just fuck them off. Goodbye. There's not much you can do from that point. So kind of just have to move on. Because why would you be angry?
Because that's the other
like
thing that I find. I think your generation is slightly more, your generation are very upfront about literally boundaries, about, you know, what I will accept and what I won't accept and all of that. Whereas I think I come from a generation where, first of all, you don't even talk about it. And when you do, it's almost like, oh, I've got something to ask you or talk about. And then it's yeah, it just makes it all even more awkward.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's more of an openness to our generation, as you said, but like I think stigma still kind of exists there. It's still uncomfortable for people to talk about.
Silly,
it's just strange. It is silly, it's weird, but at least we've made some steps. We can appreciate that, but yeah it's a strange one. Following on from those feelers, when you've had like, I guess, more of a negative reaction to certain things, how have you gotten to a place where you're secure enough within yourself to not be so affected by that?
That's a really good question, and it's one that comes up a lot of the time. And talk about it really openly and confidently, but it's taken years to be able to do that. So it's something that you test, you find something that you're comfortable with. Because, yeah, you'll get to a point where you tell someone, we've had all sorts of stories, and somebody who said, you know, they shared it with someone, they said, oh, thank you, you saved my life. And then she sat there thinking, what do you mean?
Wow.
But yeah, you get loads of different sort of responses, and that's what, so that, again, that's another tip when you're talking to people. Say, manage your expectations and expect both. Yeah, it may be that they will run a mile. Yeah, you should be okay with that. But also it may be that they actually stay. And even that sometimes is surprising, because you get so many rejections, or whatever you like to call them, when somebody actually says, actually, I don't mind. I will say, you sort of think, okay, maybe, you know, but yeah, it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice. And there's no surefire way of bringing it up in the conversation. It's just you test. I got to a point where I used to think it's something I have to say very early on. And then in my own mind, I thought, then I'm making it a big deal. If I then constantly bring it up, oh, I've got to tell you something, I've got to bring up something, it's at the back of my mind. Then it takes away all the nicey little bits if you go on the first date, because you're so
stressed.
Yeah, stressed about what happens then. And I just thought, well, do you know what? I'll just enjoy the date. If it comes up, I'll just be mindful of a way that I can bring it up. And that's how then I come up with, you know, my strategy is always, what do you do for work? My day job, I'm a researcher, but I also sit on the board for this sexual health organisation, whatever. And then that's the shoe in. Yeah, like I said, some of them are so slow, they think it just goes shoop over their heads.
You have to repeat yourself a few times.
Yeah, and at that point then, that date's
that's
not going
done.
That's not going any further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, these are good tips. These are good tips. How important would you say it is for you personally to have like the conversation?
So given my lived experience of HIV, it's a conversation that you have to have. I try and flip it. If somebody came to me with that scenario, it could be anything, I would also like to be able to know. So it's important, because for me it also sieves out, a bit like your friend, it sieves out who's open to learning. So that's important, because it's a marker of how much that person knows. And very often you get two different responses. They go, oh my God, you know, and then they come up with all of these sort of really old fashion kinds of views. Oh, it's only gay people, or it's only this, and then already I am not even going to go that. Yeah, and then you get other people that will tell you, oh, that's really interesting. So where would I need to go, or how do I go about it? Or they'll even ask you specific questions about the actual test. Oh, so how is it done nowadays? So then that one, okay, we can have a really good conversation about this. And tomorrow he probably won't throw it back in my face, because people do that.
Yeah.
They'll turn around, But also I've had friends that haven't said anything for the same reason, because of stigma or whatever else. And then it comes out because the person's seen their tablets or whatever else, and that causes a lot of already mistrust, and you're already starting from a platform of where you haven't been open, and that's no good for a relationship, whether it's HIV or anything else. For me, that's really important. And my boundary is, I'll tell you where I'm at. We can have the conversation about sexual health, but I'm not going to be your teacher about all of this that happens.
You've got some work yourself.
Yeah, go and find out for yourself. I'll tell you the basics, and if you're that interested, you'll go and do your homework.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's really, and I think for many women,
Yeah.
it's important for them. They need to know.
I would agree with your standpoint. I feel like not even looking at it from like a sexual health perspective, but just from a dating perspective in general. I feel like when you're getting to know someone, the intention should always be to learn about you entirely, and you learn about me entirely. Starting off from a good point is starting off from an open point.
Yeah.
I can also respect or understand why some people wouldn't feel comfortable straight away showing their status off of the bat, or straight out of the gate, should I say. But yeah, I feel like it's important for me personally just to always be as transparent as possible from as early as possible.
Yeah. I think, so even as part of that, there's a strategy. So we do what you put feelers out.
Oh, yeah.
So from the beginning, if you then say, oh, I work in the HIV sector, and you go, huh? Who? Why? Why do you even work with those people? Already
That's one alarm bell.
Yeah, it's an alarm bell, it's a red flag. And you can then choose to pursue that or not. But it makes the work so much easier, because okay, I'm not even going to go there. It's one of my tips to a lot of people who find themselves in my position, where they would like to build relationships and they're ready to move on and all of that, but they can't cross that line of, what do I say? How do I say it?
To approach the
Yeah.
subject.
How do I then, as I said, always put feelers out.
Yeah.
You don't have to work there. You can say I volunteer there. It's very close to my heart because I support the charity or the country, whatever.
Yeah.
But you put feelers out, and then the response you get
Gauge.
then allows you to then say, okay, maybe we have a chance or maybe we don't.
Yeah.
But, So do you guys have, when I say guys, I mean your generation, we talked earlier about a list of questions or, setting boundaries. Do you have like a tick list?
Like individually, I'm sure everyone has some sort of like tick list or checklist that they kind of mentally go against. Oh, you do? What's my checklist? I haven't shared that with you.
No, yes, you have.
Have I?
Yeah, you
What's
said,
my
Mum,
checklist?
there's always something that you have to tick off.
Okay.
And you said you don't always have to ask it directly. Sometimes it just comes up in conversation. You think, oh,
you make a little mental note. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like on an individual sort of basis, I would assume everyone has some sort of tick list or checklist, but I don't know if I've personally like sat and set one out. I know some people have, like they've actually like written one out, or like they've put pen to paper, but mentally it's more so for
So what kind of things would you make a note of mentally when you're on a date?
Manners, so like how they interact with other people, like service workers potentially. I'm looking for someone who's not a grouch, so definitely just considerate as well about small things. I feel like it shows thoughtfulness, like, oh, I was at the bar, so I got you a drink, or you were running late, so I just ordered you a starter.
See, I'm old school. I was at the bar, I got you a drink. How do I know it's not Spanish?
True. Probably should be more sensible in regards to that, but just like general consideration of someone. Can't have hot breath. I don't want no smelly mouth. Those are the first things that come to mind. Obviously, I'm sure there's like a lot more, but I feel like I already know some of yours, but I'm curious to
No,
hear.
tell me.
Some
Tell me
of
what
yours.
you think mine are.
You're a stickler for timekeeping, so Tama has to have a watch and it's got to be working. Also, I think you're very particular with language and like speech, not in like a prejudiced way, but you're just very like,
Don't speak to me like this, innit?
yeah, you don't like pet names as well. Don't be calling me no babes and sweetie. You don't like that. I also think just a gentleman in general. I think you appreciate someone who's kind. Those would be the first ones that come to mind.
Yeah, there's a few more
I know
can add.
there's a few. There's a long list
It's
more.
not that long.
Okay.
But it's just like standard stuff. And
Yeah.
if you're coming on a date, you look like you've made an effort.
You've got trousers. You've got to be wearing
A
belt.
belt, yeah.
The shirt needs to be ironed. She don't want to see no wrinkles. Yeah, so you're a stickler for presentation as well. I can definitely say that.
Well, because that follows through in terms of what kind of a person he is. If he comes...
No.
Yes, if he comes well presented, more often than not, if he comes well presented, then you know that where he sleeps, he's made his bed and his sheets are clean.
That's not always true. That's not always the case.
Now I know.
I feel like,
Well, at least for my generation, I think that's...
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was definitely a bigger thing.
Yeah.
I feel like my generation is a bit more relaxed because
Yeah, they just
people
doing first...
present how they present. Not everyone's going to be buttoned to the top.
No, it doesn't have to be buttoned to the top. But I mean, look, okay, for me, if a 50-year-old man comes sporting low batik, come on.
Well,
That's-
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a time and a place.
Exactly.
But sometimes I feel like you can be very particular.
Yeah, you've got to have matching socks.
You have, that's not too particular, but you have high standards, which there's nothing wrong with. There's nothing wrong with that
Yeah,
at all.
thank you very much. But there you go. I'm trying to think what other things. You're right about, how they treat the staff. I think that's really important and an indication of what kind of character the person is.
Yes.
If they shout at staff and all of that, not for me. If they chew with their mouth open,
I can see why that would be a turn off. Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that's not
But
attractive.
also smell. I think
Oh, yeah.
that's very important. Don't turn up sort of all sweaty.
Tonguing. Yeah.
I went on a date once, and the guy turned up. No offense, and I'm not trying to be dirt, but he looked like a wet dog.
Oh.
Come out straight from the shower, and I thought, oh no.
I feel like you can make like exceptions. For example, like if it's a hot summer's day, I'm not going to expect you to smell like a fresh, batch of
but-
washing. But there's definitely levels. You can't come smelling horrendous. It's immediate no.
No, that's, yeah, still, no.
Obviously, you said you don't care too much about the setting. It's just more so the effort. But would you have settings that are a definite no-no?
I like dancing, I like to go in, but then...
For a first date?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Ah.
I really enjoy those settings, but that would be like 3, 4, 5 dates in.
Okay, first.
When you've had, I'd like somewhere where you sit down and actually have a conversation and there's not too much distraction going around.
So no cinema.
No, I've been to a date at the cinema, but dinner first,
Okay,
and then cinema,
right.
and then probably sort of drinks afterwards. That's
Fair
the
enough.
way that
Then you
works.
can get the conversation in at
Yeah,
some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all sort of bits of both. So, yeah. I'm trying to think. A definite no.
To his house.
Oh, yeah, no, okay, that's just creepy.
That was the first thing that came to my mind, but
No, that's creepy. On a first date, no.
it's a bit informal, I guess.
Not that it's never happened.
Amen.
What do you mean, amen?
No comment.
But see, I've had backup. I make sure I take the address and send it to friends.
Oh yeah, you always got to share. You got to give the live location to the friends.
Well, they know
saying.
where I'm at. Obviously.
If you're ever like murdered or something, they can
And
locate
the
your
first
body.
thing I do when I get there is observe there. And it turned out to be a really, really lovely date. Person was a proper gentleman, made dinner, and I went home.
So you're fortunate because it can go so left. I remember I had an experience once where I did go to this guy's house. It turns out it wasn't even his house. It was a friend's house that he had asked for us to be able to go back to. And then what makes it even worse, and I will never forget to this day, I went into the room and there was no beddings, there was no bed sheets, like anything, it was just bare mattress. So I was like, oh, it's time for me to go.
What were you even doing in the... Do you know what? I won't even ask. Won't even ask.
The less you know, the better, mother.
I think so. I think so.
Gosh.
Thanks for joining this month's episode. Let's keep the conversation going, because honest, intergenerational dialogue about sexual health helps us all stay connected, informed, and safe.